Most players, upon seeing such a Minecraft base, generally assume it was built in creative mode. But if I tell you, this massive base was entirely constructed in survival mode. Not only that, it is also located on the oldest Anarchy server. 2B2T, what you are seeing now is the Mumega base, one of the best kept secrets on 2B2T. At least before it was destroyed. The history behind this base is quite insane. It is the result of 36 players working together for nearly 3 years. Even the reason this base was discovered turned out to be due to an exploit of a bug. The amount of construction and terrain modification in this single base is simply unprecedented. Today let's learn about the story of Mumega together, how it was created, and what the builders did before its destruction. First, we need to talk about Binzi, a legendary figure in 2B2T. He is the leader of the Highway Group. This organization dug a nether tunnel leading to the world border of 2B2T. The story began in 2017. One of the largest bases on the server at the time, Summer Malin Base, was destroyed. This left many construction workers homeless. Around this time, the Highway team also completed their excavation work at the world border. At this point, two long-term players of 2B2T, Willy Room and Autopia, approached them. They aimed to collaborate on one of the most ambitious construction projects in 2B2T's history. The massive build would be based on a lost continent from real-world mythology. Just hearing about it gives you a sense of how challenging it was. The process required a large amount of construction supplies. Coincidentally, some players involved in the project discovered an item duplication glitch unknown to the public, known as the chunk glitch. Since they were the only ones aware of it, they could duplicate any construction materials they wanted, without worrying about server administrators patching the glitch. To keep the chunk glitch confidential, only specific members within the project were informed. They would use a spreadsheet system for builders to request materials, and ensure these materials would smoothly appear in shulker boxes. All this work was done on a single floating platform above a large jungle biome. This biome will become the location of the base. Later, player Subsolino invited members from 2 other groups to participate together in this unprecedented construction project. Now the basic blueprint of the base has been completed. At the center stands a massive artificial mountain. Surrounding it are flat lands. The outer edges feature high cliffs. This will require the use of TNT bombers to destroy large amounts of terrain. But getting the bombers to function properly is a challenge, because the distance from the spawn point must be taken into account later. Fortunately, they quickly found a feasible method and implemented it. The bombers successfully cleared the entire jungle surface. But they did not blast all the way down to the bedrock as planned. Therefore, they had to create a second layer of bombers below. Moreover, due to 2B2T's relatively small render distance, only a small portion could be bombed at a time. After weeks of continuous work, the explosion plan was finally completed. Meanwhile, a massive crater extended nearly to the bedrock. Now it is time to begin the official construction. The core design of the Mumega base is this massive artificial mountain. But before construction, the pit itself had to be covered patch by patch with grass. With multiple players developing simultaneously, they spent over 2 months finally completing the main core section of the base. Now with a blank canvas, the builders can create anything they desire. Player Drug14 built a giant swamp biome. Below it lies a huge mushroom and a village, as well as the Greek-themed area in the basin. Most of the terrain around the mountain was customized by different builders. Scribblefox was responsible for the plateau section and multiple villages around the mountain range. Aaron Elman created a massive structure known as the Temple of the Melon Goddess, as one ingenious building after another rose from the ground. October 2018, which means the base had been under construction for almost a full year. The loophole that builders had been secretly using was eventually discovered by the public. This meant server administrators were likely to patch the loophole soon. At this point, a member named Thieves proposed an idea. Allows the exploit to execute at a faster rate. This design can duplicate up to 37 shulker boxes per second. When the exploit was eventually patched, the Mumega base had generated over 200 million items. The storage location for these items was extremely vast, to the extent that they actually began slowing down the server with every load. By the time 2020 arrived, members of Mumega decided to recruit more builders, and devised additional plans for the base, but encountered a major obstacle before even starting, because one of the largest account vulnerabilities in Minecraft history began to be exploited on 2B2T. This vulnerability allowed any Minecraft account to log in. One of the players who exploited this vulnerability was Jared2013. He was a notorious villain on the server. He managed to log into the account of a well-known builder of the Mumega base. This led to the coordinates of the base being leaked. As a result, Jared planned to destroy the Mumega base, but because it was millions of blocks away from the spawn point, it would take him 1 to 2 weeks to reach it. The members of the Mumega base also became aware of this, so they decided to unite for a final resistance. This is the famous Noah project. The builders began flooding the entire base, making it more difficult to destroy. Meanwhile, others started moving valuable items out of the base to safety. By the time Jared finally arrived there, many bases had already been flooded. This marked the end of the most ambitious base in the server's history.